What's up, YouTube? So today, the day I've been finally waiting for. That motherfucker right there. It's been almost 2 months that the Tranny's been out the car. Finally about to put it back in. Just got a couple things to take care of first. This LS4 right here, it's gonna get some wheel bearings, inner and outer tie rod, the sway bar link, tune up. Gonna clean the throttle body to get rid of a P0121 code, I believe it is, and a couple other little things. But it's the last customer car I have here, and then get to finally work on my car, which means finally get to throw these 22-inch IROCs on, BC coilovers, Brembo calipers, lot of good parts. Still got to order control arms. I think I need to order front sway bar links because I'm not going to use the ones that came with the coilovers. I think I might just give those away. I don't know. Whatever. But lot to talk about here that's happened in the past 2 months while waiting on this car. See, I have a helmet now. I've started riding a motorcycle. That's my Kawasaki ZZR 1200. A lot of people are surprised by that. First bike to start riding on was the 1200. It's definitely fast. It's faster than that too. But Tahoe, the black Tahoe, also known as Big Sexy. My sister fell asleep and totaled it out after working a long overnight shift, but luckily she got away with the sprained thumb, so whatever, that's replaceable. Gonna find me an Escalade, hop in and try and find one from the auction. But anyways, gonna get this fixed up. Gonna run to Home Depot with my mother, and then I'll be back to, let's see, the word for taking something apart is dismantle. So what is putting it together? Remantle or mantle? Whatever, we're gonna put this motherfucker back together though. So stay tuned. All right, so I'm finally here. I'm ready to get started. I've cleared out all the cars that I had to work on the street. So it's just me, the GXP transmission. Time to put it back in. I'm gonna show you, of course, step by step how to do everything. And I'm gonna make sure the battery isn't dead at all for this so that there's nothing that you miss, no confusion, no complications. But first thing I'm gonna start with is ordering a couple more parts that I need to finish this project. You know, I got the Brembo calipers and stuff like that. I gotta order some new control arms because those are, they're okay, but I want brand new stuff to go with these 22-inch rims back there. So I'm gonna hop on Rock Auto, find all the parts I want, and yeah. All right, so I got the order placed. Now we're gonna get some music going. We're gonna get started. Start off with some G Herbo.
I just told him to turn my headphones on.
All right, so first thing I'm gonna get started with is preparing the transmission, of course, to be reinstalled. But before we do that, turn this volume down. Before I get started with that, I'm gonna have to install this torque converter, and it's very simple, but it's also critical that you do it the right way, because if you don't, you'll go to start the car up, it won't move at all, and you'll probably blow the pump. That's what I was told by a transmission shop, because there are 3 sets of splines here, and it has to be inserted onto all 3 splines. But before we do that, I'm gonna pull this pallet out. All right, quick story behind these 2 torque converters. This blue one here is the one that came with my stage 1 transmission. It has a 2800 stall, which basically means it gives you a harder launch because you can hold it at 2800 RPMs without moving, basically. That's what I learned from a YouTube video. This black one here is a factory stall. Continental told me that they were gonna have to wait like 4 or 5 days for 2800 stall, and it was also like $800. So what I'm gonna do, save this and have it rebuilt sometime this winter, and then go ahead and reinstall it. But anyways, to get started with installing this black one here, I'm gonna fill it up with some transmission fluid as much as we can. Alright, so things have some weight. Okay, so I'm guessing this cap comes off. Oh yeah, this is just a rubber cap. Oh, I'm making a mess already. Told myself I wasn't gonna need a funnel, but clearly maybe I do. I'm gonna try and rotate it, get it all in there. But maybe it has the purpose, so you just rotate it back and forth. Try and get that fluid to circulate in there. Seems like it should have been able to fit a lot more. Maybe try and rotate it. So it sinks in there somewhere. Oh, also, didn't tell you guys, transmission fluid this car takes is Dexron 6. Got the set autos on there about $9 a quart. And yeah. Alright, so yeah, I've seen if I rotate it a little, play around with it, the fluid sinks down, so I'm gonna keep trying to basically get as much fluid in there as possible. Alright, so yeah, we want to install basically a quart to a quart and a half of tranny fluid in. I noticed just after sitting there for a while, it kind of sunk down. So we're gonna let it do that. I have about a half a quart left to go. See, it's gonna be a long, drawn out process. Alright, so I filled this torque converter up with a full quart of fluid. It's down to about right here. It's probably going to sink some more. But now I'm going to put the torque converter onto the tranny. So keep in mind we have to listen for 3 clicks. I'm going to pause the music for this because I'm not fucking it up.
I don't have no back brakes.
I don't give a fuck.
Whatsoever. Fuck, bro.
Oh! There we go. All right, so I'm going to prepare the engine bay to have the transmission reinstalled. So take all these mounting screws out. Just remember this one with this stud on the end goes here at this last one. Take this out. We're gonna set these up here. And then there's one that's right here that you get from the other side. I'm just gonna push this back to right about there. That way it's already in the hole. And then now I'm going to, what am I gonna do? I don't remember if I had this here to take it out. Probably didn't, so I'm gonna get rid of this jack stand and move it. Move all these harnesses, these lights I have to put in. So yeah, that's all I'm pretty much gonna dangle there. All right, so I put the transmission here on this little wooden pallet. Well, it's not a pallet, but it's a wooden, whatever you want to call it. So I'm gonna start by just laying this dipstick down back here so that it's just kind of in its place that it's supposed to be in. So it goes right about somewhere over here. All right, so I got it just resting back there.
Why the fuck is your car?
Then we also want to get a little bit of grease here. Just gonna, let me get a glove. Let me get a glove. A little bit of grease here. Going to stick it right here on this little grommet. Just a little bit. Just so it's easier to go in. And now we are gonna get a jack up under this wooden thing and try and get it in place. Been coming over here for a while. Oh, she hit the curb. All right, so what we want to do while we have this side kind of lined up, we want to start to get this little bracket in here. This one. Get this in here and lined up. Let's see how I'm gonna do this.
Like it's pulling a different one from, I don't know.
Huh? Y'all talking to me?
I was talking to you. I didn't ask.
Remember what the other one is called.
But I said, should I take it to AutoZone and just get my codes read again?
It wouldn't hurt, to be honest.
Because I don't understand what's going on. I'm tired of being fooled.
But that's how.
Oh, it gave up. All right, so now that that side is lined up, all right, so the next bolt that I'm going to take care of is 18mm bolt. It's the hardest one to get to. It sits right in between the tranny and motor back here. So I've got a lot of extensions here that's gonna help me get it out. Let me turn the flash on. That's it, right back there. But can I get to it? expensive. Don't want to break that harness, so be patient with it.
Yeah.
All right, so now that we got the now I'm gonna go ahead and tighten these all the way with a ratchet. All right, now that we gotten that stuff tightened, I'm gonna go ahead and just reconnect some simple stuff back here, like our vehicle speed sensor that goes right here. Tighten this clip or put it back. I think this ran right here. Oh, the actual clip broke, so just gonna leave that hanging. Next thing we want to do is take care of this dipstick. I'm going to try and get it from the bottom.
All out with no movement.
Let's see. And it's seated all the way in there. And there's a little bolt that goes right up on this part. I believe it's a 10mm. So this bolt for the transmission dipstick goes right there. Let's see. All right, so the next thing we want to reconnect while we are down here is we can reconnect our rack and pinion. This is for the magnet steer. The harness is right there. Just plugs in like that.
Where was you going doing 60?
You can also reconnect the, what are they called? Knock sensors, or whatever it is. Which goes right here and here. You can also reconnect the harness for the transmission itself. Wait for that click. Put this little tree back right here. All right, so the next thing we're gonna take care of here is the exhaust. So you wanna make sure these wires are not in the way or crossing with anything. But so I'm actually just gonna try and lay them down like right there, which is not really working for me, but whatever. So I'm gonna take these screws out that I had sitting here so I didn't lose them. It's just 3 bolts here in the back, and there are also 3 more in the front. We're also gonna use some anti-seize when we put these back in so that we make sure if we have to do this again, they don't break. And we have the 3 right here that I was telling you about. 1, 2, 3. So the front has 3 nuts and the rear has 3 bolts. So just gonna go ahead and wiggle that in there. All right, so see the back here. So it has this little flange here with holes in it, 1, 2, and 3 that just line up with these threads here. But what I'm gonna do, actually I'm gonna put the anti-seize on last. But let's see, how can I get this camera? Let's see. I want you to be able to see what I'm doing here. All right, so it's only gonna fit one way. So if it doesn't work one way, you can just rotate it until it slides on. And this seems to be the way it fits. So got that slid on there. And then for the back, I'm gonna try and line it up. Same thing. It's only gonna fit one way, but I'm gonna take care of the front first. Go ahead and get our anti-seize. Should wear gloves for this. I'm just gonna get some anti-seize on here. And that's for that third bolt. Just gonna fill down there for the anti-seize. So, let me make sure these are 13mm bolts. So, hand thread them on. 1, 2, and 3. What happened? Kitty cat. Charger gang, yes sir. Alright, let's see if I can get it down here. You know what? It might be easier to get these from the bottom. Which indeed they are. That's one. That's two. And then for that third one that sits behind this little heat shield, it's gonna be a little harder for me because I have this exhaust wrap again. So just turn it with my hand. I'm gonna get something back there to get it tight though, but. All right, so time for these back bolts. So I'm gonna stick a little bit of anti-seize on the tip. You just need a little bit like that because when you spin it around, it's gonna spread out. So start with one up here at the top. Just gonna hand thread it in a little. Anti-seize makes it not only that so that it doesn't get stuck, but it also makes it easier to turn the bolt in. And that's what we want, right? All right, that's in. And now we're gonna do this bottom one. The reason I'm not tightening them in all the way is because we don't know if it's oriented right. It's only gonna fit one way. See if I can reach my hand under here. And indeed, that is correct. So now we can go ahead and tighten those up. Top one is in there. I'm gonna need a swivel for this one. And then now, bottom side one. Let's see. Can't see it, but we can definitely feel for it. that's tight. Now I'm gonna use a ratchet to tighten them all the way down. Let's get this top one all the way tight. And this right side one. You nasty fuck.
I'm so sorry.
Ouch. Well, it's tight. All right, so the next thing we're gonna take care of are these torque converter bolts that connect to the flywheel. So there are 3 of these 18mm bolts, and you just rotate it until you see one of the holes there. Just go ahead and hand screw that in there. And the torque specs for these are 46 foot-pounds. So what I might have to do is basically stick something in here to stop this from moving while I'm trying to torque it down. So I'm gonna grab a torque wrench and get started. Stick this flathead in here, just like that. You wait for that click. That's how you know it's to spec. All right, so the next thing we are going to do is reconnect our Cv axles. They should just slide right in, but if not, we'll slap a little bit of grease on them. Gotta help me out.
You can start doing white boy shit.
Yeah. And now for the passenger side, we're gonna do the same thing.
No.
It goes in just like that.
No.
Now,
So why didn't y'all call me?
I'm gonna go ahead and prepare to reassemble the subframe. So I'm gonna get some zip ties to hang this power steering line up here. And this part should be all right. So you let that hang. Move anything out from under. Let's see, sway bar. That should just be fine hanging there. Hold on. I'm gonna take all the nuts off of the motor mounts. And come to think about it, we actually have to reassemble this first. Actually, put a bottom one in first. It's easier. These are all 18mm bolts. I'm gonna just tighten those down with the impact gun. But keep in mind, if you're gonna be using something like impact or air, don't over tighten it, because I feel like you can probably crack the casing here, and that is definitely a big issue. You know what? Space is very limited. All right, so it's time to come over and drag the subframe out. Got it all nice and cleaned up with some simple green and wire brushes. It's not the best, but it's a lot better. All right, so what I'm gonna do here is get 2 jacks up under the car and basically slowly lift it up on both sides. First, line up with the motor mounts. We're gonna get the motor mounts put in, and then we're gonna, what am I trying to say? Get the motor mounts put in, lined up, and then we're gonna line the entire subframe up and bolt it up. So, I'm scratching my car, what the fuck? Be mindful of anything that you have hanging. You don't want to pinch it or damage it or anything. Just go up a little bit on both sides at a time so that you don't lose stability. Keep it balanced. Okay, what I'm actually gonna do first is reinstall these sway bar bolts. I'm not gonna tighten them all the way down, but I'm basically gonna use it as a guide to basically hold the back end for me while I work with the front end and work around everything. Just a few threads in there just to get it in place, get it where we want it. I'm gonna go over and do the same thing to the other side. But you know what? We're actually gonna take care of this first, because this motor mount seems like it wants to line up pretty well. So I just jacked this side up and moved it around enough so that these fell into place a little. So I'm just gonna throw these nuts on. Again, hand thread them just so that they stay in place where I want it. Oh. And then we can play around with the other sides and stuff. We're going to do this one first because it's pretty close. While we do this, we're also going to have to keep in mind, like this line that wants to pinch here. I'm going to try and put this rack and pin where it goes to. So actually this one, this motor mount here, and this front one want to line up together at the same time, which actually works in my favor. All right, so I just got the front mount lined up in there. I'm going to stick 2 nuts in there. You're not me.
Nigga, I just dropped that little tiny ass screw, the one and only tiny ass screw. What else today?
Oh, the little bolt?
Yeah. Oh yeah, the nut, man. Yeah.
And he took the other one with him?
Yeah, I was able to find it. As I said, God gave you a second chance.
Hmm. All right, so I got those 2 locked in there. We'll just hand thread it. And now we can work on this last mount here and the rack and pinion. So, I'm gonna move this jack more so to this area as opposed to that area. So, hold it with my hand. And just move this back over here. the rack and pinion here has little bushings on it, so I'm gonna kind of force it down in there and push it down, or at least try to. Yeah. But I'm also gonna push up on the let's see, how am I gonna do this? Okay. Let's see, where can I set this at? I'm gonna use a pry bar here and basically use this area right here for leverage to push the rack and pinion down. But what I'm gonna make sure I don't do is pierce a hole in the boot for the entire ride. All right, so what I'm doing here is grabbing the whole subframe and shifting it to the left. And then I'm gonna have my great friend Tony. Oh no, we're gonna have Jamar do it, man.
I'm mad at you.
You mad at me? Why you mad at me? What's wrong?
You put 5% on the front and I got 20% on the back.
Bro, listen. I tinted his windows. Listen, bro. All right, so now I'm going to put these 2 bolts on this motor mount here. Yes, sir. And now, the last thing that has to go back in place is rack and pinion. So what I'm gonna do is, see, we have this little gap here. I'm gonna raise the subframe up a little bit because I also don't want the rack and pinion to try and snap the steering shaft. So I'm gonna raise it to basically put it where it should be installed on the car. So what I did here to get this rack and pinion mounting bolt in, I took the sway bar bracket off, and that basically allowed me to move the sway bar up a little higher than as opposed to having it connected, and I was able to slide that bolt in. So I'm also going to reconnect this little bracket here, or should be right about there. There we go. Go this in. So I'm gonna go get a ratcheting 18mm wrench and then a regular 18mm and tighten both of those down. Rack and pinion bolts are tight and secured. Now I'm just gonna replace the what are these called? Sway bar bushing brackets. Whatever. We're just gonna tighten these down again. Again, they are 13mm bolts.
You still got those funded businesses in there.
Damn it, you giving us false information.
Yo, Griffin told me that. Griffin, my boy with the other Mustang, he said you were on the building. He didn't say you on the whole flight. Oh, you on the whole flight. Fuck you. The one with the black.
Somebody pass me that impact gun.
Yeah, that's my boy Jiggy.
Yeah, it might
Go
get
look.
dirty for one.
I get dirty every day.
Mike said get off his dick.
He work at a Mopar building, so yeah, you right.
All right, next thing I'm gonna do
I know you're
is
not putting
finish
it there.
tightening these motor mount bolts. Now that the subframe is up, 15mm.
He said my bird is messing up my effort.
You need a lot, man. I need a YouTube.
What's up, YouTube? Hey, yo, come holla at my man right here. He fixing everything. You know what I'm saying? Hit, man, listen, that nigga fix my sneakers. He fixed everything, nigga. My barber was fucking my edge up, but I can't. He fixed my edge up.
My edge up. The whole thing,
No,
right?
for real, he do his thing though. You can check my man out.
Now for the good part. Finally get to take this off. Still, don't touch my shit. She's gonna do the honors.
Oh.
Pull it off.
Now I'm going to put these grounds back on and secure this wire down here with this bolt. So take it out. Then I'm gonna put it in here. It goes right there.
Zero gauge wire holder.
Please state your case. Your Honor, I would like to invite my church witness.
And this is a 13mm bolt. That's my favorite part.
Right, that's how it's hell. Yeah.
You ain't say. Alright, so actually missed one here, but this ground, this power cable ground, this thicker one, also goes on this boat. So I'm just take this off and then reinstall it. Now, going to reinstall the starter.
Use a damn line. You can point to anything on this car.
Yeah, brother told me this is a spark plug.
Hmm?
So I like that.
These are 15mm bolts. That's funny. Make a mess. Baby, you're gonna spill it all over yourself. Got that nice and tight. And now we're just gonna plug this on whatever we want to call it in. This bolt out here, or this nut, put the cables back on. All right, maybe the fat one goes underneath, it might fit better. Yeah, that's a lot better. Now, going to deal with the shift cable. So, you want to lift this little harness up here, just slip it in there, and dropping screws. Then just gonna replace these 13mm bolts here. Something's actually telling me that the shift cable goes up under this. It seems to fit a little funny, so let's see. The only way to do this is to take it out. What you're gonna do is reconnect this shift cable bushing first. All right, so what I'm gonna do to get this bushing snapped on all the way, I've got a long pair of needle nose pliers, and I'm gonna kind of just try to squeeze it on there. And I don't know if you got to hear that, but it just clicked on there, so everything's all good there. I'm gonna go ahead and finish tightening these bolts up, and then secure this down with a little tie that's on the bottom of it. All right, so we're gonna pause with the work we're doing up top, and then we're gonna go ahead and go back underneath the car. Start with putting this flywheel cover back on. It's just this little push clip, and it's 10mm here. They're very simple to reinstall. Just come over and goes just like this, I think. Yep. That just pushes in right there. And this bolt goes right here. Go get a ratchet to tighten this up. Well, really, no, I'm not gonna be lazy. I'm gonna tighten it just a tad bit tighter with the ratchet. Can also go ahead and reconnect our tranny lines here. Another thing you want to do if you have an external cooler, just tilt this cooler. Let's see. Tilt it one way so that one side get some fluid out. You want all the old bad fluid to come out. Let's go ahead and put this over this. Screw that on there. I believe it is a 19mm that I have here. Maybe an 18. And go ahead and put our belt back on. So just gonna tighten this tensioner again. That's done. And lastly, what I'm gonna take care of under the car, like 99% sure is the last thing, is our control arms. I bought new ones off of rockauto.com. These are the Mabeltech TTX brand. They were about $88 each. I've heard nothing but good reviews about them, so I hope people aren't lying. First, some things about people before saying they had to kind of trim this down a little because it goes too far up into the spindle and it hits the Cv axle. So here's a little trick we want to do here. We're going to put the nut on here first, then shave it, and then take it off. That way, any threads that we possibly damage, even just a little, will basically be patched up or fixed once we take this off. So. All right, so that's shaved down. That's pretty hot, so use this to remove it. That's taken care of. Now we can go ahead with our normal install. Another thing to note, these right here, this little bracket is for either V6 model Grand Prix or the Impala or Monte Carlo, because they have sway bar links that mount to the control arms. So another thing I'm going to pay attention to, if this part of the sway bar and the link hit this, I'll also be shaving this off. All right, so after a bunch of struggling and fighting, with help of him, got this damn control arm on. I almost sold the car. What does it need? Fucking control arm. All right, so the control arm is installed. Now we can go ahead and put this wheel back on, and I'm gonna repeat the same process for the other side, and then we'll finish our work up top here. And lastly, but certainly not least, we have to put this lower valent splash back on. After that, we are 100% done under the car. We're gonna plug in the ECM and TCM, rehook up this, what is it called, oil catch can, and fill it up with fluid and get it started. All right, so all of this work under the car is now complete. I have these two wires hanging here. Those are some RGB lights, so I'm gonna take care of those later. But now I'm gonna get a jack up under the car. And get it from off of these jack stands. Also put that wheel back on, and then we'll finish up here. Now it's time to reinstall the air box. Of course, everything that comes with it. I'm just gonna lift these cables up here for the computers. Drop this in here. Wiggle it in here. air filter and mass airflow sensor. Stick that through there. Just rest our what is this thing called? Hose clamp on. It's a little tight. Stick that on there. And then stick this over here. Get it all in there. Yep. Go ahead and tighten this up with my flathead. And then we're going to do the same for this one here. And we're going to reinstall these hoses here. Mass airflow sensor. Our vacuum line. Go ahead and put this back. And last but certainly not least, I'm gonna reconnect our battery, fill this thing up with fluid. We're done. So this application takes about 14 quarts to fill the entire system. I'm gonna probably end up needing like 15 or 16 because of the external cooler I have. And keep in mind, we already put 1 quart of fluid in the torque converter. All right, so I got all the tranny fluid inside now. Moment of truth. Going to start it up, turn the key, check the fluid level multiple times after letting it warm up. And after you do that, you are 100% done. And of course, after a test drive, so let's see if it starts up on the first tap. It's been sitting for a couple months now.